Roam if you want to. Roam around the world. And this is a Rome jersey. Oh, Doomsday. I am excited for the future of Caleb and Rome and many other players on this team. I do have a lot of thoughts on the game. I will have plenty of things to say. We will break down some All-22 video this week because there's a lot of things I saw during that game that I want to share my thoughts and insights on. It's very frustrating at this point of the season, but guys, the season's over with. Let's get to the mock drafts. And as promised, I'm a man of my word. Every time we lose, I give you a mock draft. In fact, I'm giving you more than one mock draft a week, because that's all we have to look forward to right now. So I decided to make it interesting. Many of you have said you really do want to see Ashton Jeanty as the number one first-round pick for the Bears. Right now, we're sitting 9th overall. You guys want to see that. Spoiler, I'm going to give it to you. I wanted to make a challenge of how I can make this draft still be successful by drafting an overhyped running back that shouldn't be taken in the first round. And as I get to my running back videos, guys, you'll see this running back class is absolutely stacked and loaded at running back. There are plenty of opportunities for the Bears to take a running back. We don't have to in the first round. But I wanted to make a challenge for myself, so I did take Ashton Jeanty in the first round. It'll be your job to tell me whether you like it or not as we get through the video. So, as always, this is my, not always, but as I like to do, this is my overall complete off-season breakdown video. I'm not going to go in depth on some of these slides like I did on other ones. For those who didn't see the other ones, check out the previous videos. This is the salary cap for the Bears right now. We're sitting roughly $81 million. Add what we haven't used, add to some cuts, and we'll go over some of those cuts. The Bears are sitting in 5th right now for salary cap. Lots of room to work with, but some of that will go to rookie contracts. Some of that will go to re-signing. Some of that will go to the practice squad. Some of that will go to buffer room. So for this example, I'm going to give you a couple of cuts, and I'm not going to change really from my stance last time. I really don't like Ryan Bates being on this team. A lot of people know by now he pretty much was considering retirement before we wasted a draft pick trading for him. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and keep Ryan Poles. I don't have a dog in the fight either way. I think there needs to be some consistency with all the changes, so I think we will keep Ryan Poles. We're going to keep Ryan Poles for this example. I don't go through the coaches on this video, but let's say right now my favorite is Joe Brady, and we'll say Robert Saleh for the defensive coordinator. I think Joe Brady would be great to work with Caleb Williams, kind of save him. So we're going to cut Ryan Bates. That's going to save us salary cap about $4 million. No dead cap on his. And Gerald Everett, we're going to cut him as well. Only $1 million in dead cap there. $5.5 million in savings, so we like that move. And for this example, you guys also, and I'm not a fan of this one, but I'm trying to give you guys a couple things that you like. I'm going to go ahead. It's $96 million is our new salary cap after that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trade Braxton Jones away because a lot of you want to see Braxton Jones gone. So I'm going to show that we can make this work with a bunch of different scenarios. I like Braxton Jones. He's still on his rookie contract. I realize he's not a Pro Bowler. He's not the answer, but the 2026 draft class is a lot better for offensive tackle. So we're going to go ahead and look here. We'll use my pointer sometimes, my little bear down logo. Bear down logo shows Braxton right now is the 20th ranked offensive tackle. Darnell Wright is the 17th. So we're okay at tackle. The real problem is the interior of the offensive line. And as you saw in this last game, Kieran Amagaji filling in for Braxton Jones, not the answer. Now, Kieran is a rookie, and he was developmental. He's coming off a year of injury. He needed a year. They didn't even expect him to be really ready to go until 2026. So I'm not going to hold that against him. I still think he has time to develop, but he's going to be a backup, and he has a chance as he develops, maybe year 2, 3, or 4, to be able to step into that role. But for now, we're going to have to go get one of these guys in free agency because this draft class is not the answer for offensive tackle. Even at the top of this draft class, the best offensive tackles in this class have weaknesses like short arms or other things. So I'm not a fan of taking a tackle at the top of this draft, especially with all our needs. And I've already told you I'm going to take Ashton Jeanty, so I've already spoiled that one. Now, this is a hypothetical with how Braxton is a top 20 tackle in the league, that we could get at least a 4th and 5th for him. Maybe some of you don't agree. Say we'll just take a 4th this year, but we should at least be able to get a 2025 4th with a rookie contract, a chance for a team to extend him playing at a top 20 level. That's where he is right now. So we're going to trade Braxton Jones to the Patriots, who need a ton of line help. So they will eagerly welcome a veteran with 4 years of experience. top 20 in the league to be able to come in and help them on their offensive line. Then they can address some other issues through the draft as well. So we'll get a 4th and next year's 5th from them. And that's what we'll get in this scenario with Braxton Jones. Some of you are probably liking this right now because it's what you want to see. And then let's move along here. I'm not going to break all this down again. If you want to see my prior videos, I'm showing you the green means we'll take them to keep them on the practice squad, all these other things. But these are the 3 guys we're going to re-sign. So the orange just means I'm going to re-sign them. This is step 1 of our offseason. We're going to re-sign these guys. Bill Murray, that's a no-brainer. Earnings restricted free agent. We can get him in a league minimum. Coleman Shelton, a 2-year, $10 million deal for a backup center who can compete or who needs to step in, who has repertoire and experience with Caleb Williams. Very valuable to have, and he played at a really good level this year. 2-year, $10 million, but he'll be our backup. We're going to draft one or sign one in free agency. And then Matt Pryor, we're going to keep him as a backup guard as well, which is what he should have been this year, but he's had to step into a bigger role than we really needed him to be this year. So we need 4 starting new offensive linemen, and we need a backup right tackle in this offseason scenario. All right, so there's our offensive line. That's how it affects it. Next, we're going to move to the running back room. We're going to have Austin Reed come to our practice squad, and we're not going to re-sign Travis Homer. That's what the X's mean here, guys. Ian Wheeler's coming back from injury, so we definitely need a running back. You guys already know where I'm heading with this one. And then for our wide receivers and tight ends, we're going to re-sign Keenan Allen. I know some of you don't agree with this, but he really is a safety blanket for Caleb Williams, and he's smart. He's intelligent. As you hear them talk about him in the wide receiver room, he's really one of the coaches. He does have a way of getting open. Caleb has been part of the blame, too. I realize he's dropped some passes he shouldn't drop, and he is getting older, but we're going to sign him to at least a 1, maybe a 2-year deal at a discount. $15 million is not a bad deal for a Hall of Fame wide receiver. So if he'll sign for $15 million, I think it's a no-brainer. We're not going to bring back DeAndre Carter. We're not going to bring back Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis. We're going to have to get a new backup tight end as well. All right, so moving along from the wide receiver room, we're going to move over to the defense. We are not going to re-sign Chris Williams or Byron Cowart. They've both been worthless. Jake Martin or Dominic Robinson is what this means. In the scenario right now, we have Dominic Robinson on the rookie contract, so it probably makes more sense. But Jake Martin has really been getting a lot of pressure these last couple of games. So I'm going to keep him in our final tally. I'm going to have him instead. I think they should be giving him more reps. Andrew Billings is a backup. I realize he's getting better pressure this year, but out of all not qualified, so out of just taking snap counts away, he's like 200 ranked, a 50 grade on his run defense, which is terrible for a defensive interior. You need run defense. So we're going to need 2 new defensive tackles. One, Zach Pickens is not a backup, guys. He probably shouldn't even make the team next year. But if Ryan Poles is still the GM, he'll probably hang on to him for another year. We'll see what happens. And we need a new defensive end as well. It's clear and obvious. Those who watched this last game should know without a shadow of a doubt that the defensive line is the major liability on this team. We could not get pressure. We can't stop teams when you can't get pressure. Montez Sweat was the only one out there doing anything. Jervon Dexter gone. With him, they at least stand a semi-chance, but this is one of the worst defensive lines in the league. It needs to be the priority of this draft. All right, next we're going to re-sign Jack Sanborn. Well, we're going to have a restricted free agency, so whatever teams offer him or offer them is what they're going to be able to. We're going to be able to match. So Jack Sanborn, say 3 years, $15 million deal, $5 million a year, and Josh Blackwell should be able to get somewhere around a $1.5 million deal from somewhere. So we'll match that offer. Both those guys are valuable. We need another linebacker as well. Jalen Jones, we're going to match his offer as well. Should be right around a league minimum. Then we got a couple guys we'll bring to the practice squad. Let's move forward. All right, so move me off here. Those guys have been released. We don't care what's underneath me here. Here's where the salary cap stacks out at this point, okay? So we've through the cuts. We've got here offensive line, what we spent on re-signings. Here's the re-signings. Draft picks, practice squad, buffer cap, what we're going to need. We're going to have roughly $41 million to spend in free agency. So this is how we're going to make free agency work in this scenario. All right, first up, we're going to get Trey Smith. And I understand it's a lot of these guys possibly could be re-signed, but that's not the point. In free agency, you're going to go out and spend to get him $21.5 million annual value on a guard. Now, he's young. He's worth it. One of the best in the league. This year right now, ranked tied for 9th in overall grade, and he's consistent. He's really solid every year. Never allows many pressures at all. This year better than any other year. 21.5 would reset the market for guards. It would be the highest paid guard in the league. But each and every other guard who does get paid like that, you see Chris Lindstrom, you see Landon Dickerson right there, Quentin Nilsson right there, Robert Hunt. These guys are all proving to be valuable on those contracts, and I feel like Trey Smith would do the exact same thing. Next, we're going to sign Mo Alley Cox. I had this in the other scenario, 2-year, $9 million. Solid option, good pass blocking year for him. I think he would continue on. Here's one a lot of people want me to mock into here, Alaric Jackson, and I don't hate it. I just don't love signing him long-term, and he's probably going to want to be signed long-term. I want to draft one next year, but we can always do that too. For this scenario, we're going to go ahead and spend the money to get him. 3 years, $50 million, $16.67 million annual value. It's a lot, but tackles are worth it when they pull their weight. As I showed in the Braxton Jones slide here, you look Alaric Jackson top 20 as well. Very similar to Braxton Jones, and really it's a better year for Alaric Jackson than he's been having in the past. He's really improved, and he's still young, so I don't hate the idea of signing him over Braxton if we're going to get rid of Braxton Jones. Move me up here. You can see that he is having a breakout year for him, better than any other previous year. His pressures are way down, and that's a good thing. So we want that for Caleb. So he's young, 26 years old, as you see right there, 27 next year. Well, right on the verge of 27 when the season starts. So I have a feeling the Rams will re-sign him, but if they don't go out and spend the money, then the Bears swoop in. We'll take Alaric Jackson. He'll be our new left tackle this next year. And then last but not least, it's very valuable to get a backup right tackle that has experience and is absolutely, this is his career. Trent Brown, coming off injury. He's going to be coming off a season-ending injury from this year when he tore his patellar tendon. This is exactly what he's going to need as a backup role and come in, help develop a young rookie. Darnell Wright, not rookie, he's in his third year next year, but Trent Brown with extensive experience, and he can have that backup role. I really like the idea of grabbing him. I came up with this one a couple of mock drafts ago, and I really want Trent Brown to be a backup for us. He can step in and play at a high level. He's getting older. He'll be 32 next year, but he's coming off the major injury. He can have that backup role behind Darnell Wright, and if Darnell Wright ever got injured, you've got someone solid to come in and step in behind him. All right, so after free agency, this is where we stand. Now, you see we were sitting at 41,137. After free agency, we spent $46 million. So we overspent a little bit, but we do have the buffer cap. We can bump into that a little bit, but you can also structure contracts to be a little bit back heavier, and it wouldn't have to be too back heavy. Some people might be looking at this and saying, a little less than $5 million, that's going way over. Well, it's not. When you have a $10 million buffer cap, so we're really not over yet. We're still 5 under, but Poles and every GM likes to have that buffer cap, and you can structure these contracts so it's worth it to do that. When you have a young rookie, he's going to be on the second year of his quarterback contract, you want to make a run at this. So this is a year I really want to see the Bears go after it in free agency like this, get the top available guard, get one of the best available left tackles, just solid tight end for a backup, and a solid backup right tackle. That to me would be a home run of a free agency. And now we have 8 draft picks. We can address it in the draft the rest of the way. I'm not going to do trade down scenarios. I'm going to try to hit this draft, hitting it right off and just trying to fill the rest of those needs with no trade downs where these guys would land. All right, so here's the standings on the left. Here's the draft order right here where things stand today after Monday Night Football. This would be our draft picks. If we traded Braxton Jones, then we would have that extra 4th rounder right there, which is normally where I would say we could take the running back with that pick. But I've got the challenge that I need to go ahead and try to take Ashton Jeanty. So the first pick in this year's draft, number 10 overall. Why do I have number 10 up there? It should be number 9. Oh, well, you guys know what I was getting at. Ashton Jeanty, and in the overloaded class of running backs this year, I don't think you need to take a running back in the top 10, but we're taking Ashton Jeanty, number 9 overall. You see the historic year he had, 2,496 yards in the Mountain West, 29 touchdowns, 95.8 overall grade, absolutely stellar. His only weakness is he's not a strong pass or run blocker, but I mean when you look at him play, he's got balance like crazy. He can take 4 hits and not get knocked over. So he's an absolute stallion. So his scouting report on him says elite contact balance, sheds tackles with ease, and maintains momentum through traffic. Elite vision and anticipation, consistently finds and exploits gaps before they fully materialize. Rare combination of burst and long speed, can take any touch to the house from anywhere on the field. Soft, natural hands with wide catch radius, true weapons in the passing game. Workhorse capability with proven durability, thrives under heavy workloads. Advanced pass protection skills, diagnoses blitzes quickly and anchors against larger defenders. Runs with exceptional pad level and leg drive, consistently falls forward and finishes runs. Game breaker who elevates his play in crucial moments, put the team on his back mentality. If you saw any point in the season for the Bears, we've been lacking a true powerhouse running back. So if a GM really believes that he is going to be any better than Dylan Sampson or Cam Scattaboo or RJ Harvey, and they say he is a top 10 talent, he is the next Bijan Robinson, he's the next Derrick Henry. As you know, he was in the tightest Heisman race, and he just barely lost the Heisman. Controversial to some people. We go out and we get our running back round 1. To me, the trenches are the most important, but a lot of you think this is a real possibility, and maybe it is. So the Bears take Ashton Jeanty, number 1 overall for our pick, 9th overall in this draft. They take Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State. All right, with our second pick, we're going to go ahead and take Princely Umanmielen, who I think is a perfect fit for the Bears. At defensive end, solid with pressure, solid with his run stopping, hardly misses a tackle ever. His scouting report: accelerates rapidly and has great feel for angles. He isn't huge, but he packs a pop. Now, he's not small either, 6'4", 255. So they say that, but this year's draft class is bigger edges, but I think he's the perfect for the Bears' needs. Fluid and flexible in his movements, able to bend around the edge effectively. High football IQ, demonstrates good reactionary athleticism and situational awareness. He has excellent length and wingspan, which he uses to disrupt plays and maintain leverage. Versatile alignment, can rush from both the stand-up outside linebacker position and three-point stance. Consistently high motor, fights through contact to apply pressure and pursue the quarterback. His spin move is already NFL caliber and displays a very good motor. Strong tackling ability, rarely misses once he gets his hands on the ball carrier. Now, his overall misses is low for defensive end 10, but on running plays, he has a 0.0. He has not missed a tackle this year. So I'm not going to go through the scouting report on every one of these guys, but our top picks, I think this is one of the most important for us, is to get the defensive end right. Princely Umanmielen, absolute monster, and I would love to see him in a Bears uniform. All right, next pick. I've said consistently that the Bears have to walk away with Mason Graham or Walter Nolan, or this is the third one, and I haven't highlighted him as much, TJ Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Now, he's more of a three-tech, not as much of a run stuffer, but he doesn't ever let rushes get by him. He's a really good run defender as well as pass rusher, so I really like him. 32 pressures on 236 pass rush opportunities. His grades are off the chart. Exceptional length, provides leverage, advantage, and disruption in passing lanes, enhancing his effectiveness in trench battles. Impressive burst off the line for his size, allowing him to penetrate and disrupt plays in the backfield consistently. Versatile defender with ability to impact both run and pass game, averaging nearly 1 tackle for loss per game in 2023. That's huge for the Bears' run game. To be able to get tackles for loss, to stop them behind the line of scrimmage, this would be an instant game impact changer for the Bears. High motor player who maintains effort throughout the games. Solid tackling technique, particularly effective in wrapping up ball carriers and limiting yards after contact. Demonstrates good hand usage to shed blocks and disrupt backfield, a crucial skill for interior linemen. Coachable player with steady improvement trajectory from freshman to redshirt sophomore year, indicating untapped potential. Ability to generate interior pressure, a valuable asset in today's pass-heavy NFL, as shown by his 4.5 sacks in 2003. And again, another 5 sacks this year as well. So we've got an edge and a defensive tackle that I really think are critical to get in this draft. So far we're still fine taking Ashton Jeanty. We've still got our defensive tackle and our edge. And now with our third round pick, we're going to take Tate Ratledge. I really like Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I've highlighted him a lot of times. He would be a guard for us on the other side. We've got options with Matt Pryor. If he doesn't, if we take one of these third rounders and they don't really pan out as well as you want them to, we've still got options with Bill Murray developing and Matt Pryor playing really well this year. So I like the depth. We need to have that depth. That's why I wanted to re-sign some of those guys. Coleman Shelton, Matt Pryor, Bill Murray, and have them as depth pieces. And then you can go out and draft someone like Tate Ratledge, who has high potential, solid pass blocker, decent run blocker, strong anchor, and would be a really good option for us on the offensive line. So I like Tate Ratledge a lot. I'll stop going through the backgrounds as much now, the scouting reports. You guys can pause this and read those if you want to. With our 4th round pick, I'm going to take Jared Wilson. Jared Wilson is my favorite center in this draft class. In a weaker center class, I think he's one of the better prospects. He's not a pure ready necessarily to play day one, but he's got the size to be able to play day one and the speed, and he's got a good, strong football IQ. He's an effective run blocker, which would be great for the Bears, especially if we're drafting Ashton Jeanty, and he's a solid pass blocker still too. Really good year for him. He's only allowed 1 sack in all 4 years. Now, he didn't start. Let me move this out of the way. He didn't start those first 2 years as much. So he's not ranked as high a lot for that because he wasn't an impact starter day one. But this last year, he's been very critical. If you've watched any games Georgia plays, he's very visible on the field as being an impact player. So I like Jared Wilson a lot. He and Jake Slaughter and Jake Majors are some of my favorite ones. And if we can take Jared Wilson here in the 4th round with that pick we got from Braxton Jones, we just basically swapped one rookie for another on the offensive line. I like it. I like the way that would play out. So we're taking Jared Wilson there. Now with our 5th round pick, we're shoring up the defensive line a little bit more. This is one a lot of people don't know about, but Bears fans need to get familiar with him. He should be coming in for a top 30 visit because he's a loco with Notre Dame. Riley Mills has had a big year, and he's got a lot of experience in college football. He's solid in the pass rush as well as run defense, 33 total pressures and 283 pass rush opportunities. He's got huge athleticism, and he's also very quick. 6'5", 295 pounds. He can stuff the lanes on the interior defensive line. We wouldn't expect him to be a starter, but he could definitely develop into a starter for sure. Having him replace Zach Pickens, to me, is a no-brainer in this stacked defensive line class. If we don't come away with 3 defensive linemen, I'm going to be disappointed with how deep the defensive line class is. All right, next we're going to take Lathan Ransom, who I don't think will fall this far, but most mock drafts have him going in the 5th, 6th round. So if he does, we're going to shore up our safeties. We're going to give a little bit more depth there. Injury was part of his reason, but also developmental, and I just think he has so much high impact, high upside potential to be able to play free safety for us, or strong safety, with Jaquan Brisker's injury, you never know if we need the help. Big size, big body, but he can also move very quick, and he's very good in his coverage grade. So I like Lathan Ransom a lot. And then we're going to pick to shore up our linebacker room. I know you guys know that I keep doing this with some of my favorite UNLV guys, but Jackson Woodard is an absolute beast. He's a monster, and he's got the mentality of being a team player who just has that grind it out every day, work hard mentality. And I think he could work his way on to be getting some significant playing time, even as a rookie. He's top 25 in all of football, all of college football, in both defensive grade and his run defensive grades. His coverage grades have steadily improved, and he's always in on every tackle, as well as many dropped interceptions. Now, he has a ton of interceptions this year as well. He was the Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year. High upside potential there for Jackson Woodard. And then we're also taking Jacob DeJesus with our last pick as a return ability. Now, he has a lot of return as well as receiving as well. You can see this year, I don't think this is actually including the last couple of games. I might not have updated this one because I took this slide from a previous one, but his return grades are off the chart. He never drops a punt. He was a second-team All-American for return ability. All right, so I actually like the way this turned out a lot. So let's look at how this looks, and you can see the contracts actually look really good too. Our starters here would be together for several years, at least the next couple years, unless there were no extensions. So that would give some consistency and some strength on the offensive line. You got Alaric Jackson at left tackle, Darnell Wright at right tackle, Tate Ratledge, and Trey Smith at left and right guard with Jared Wilson at center. If he's not quite ready to go, Coleman Shelton can step in and maybe he takes over later. We just have to see how that one goes. But that's the offensive line. I like that a lot, actually. As you move over to the running back room, you've got DeAndre Swift and Ashton Jeanty. Kind of a 1-2 punch like David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. That would be huge for the Bears. Take a ton of pressure off Caleb Williams. I don't hate it. I don't like it. I'd rather take a Cam Scattaboo or a Nick Singleton or a Dalen Sampson later on in the draft and focus, especially if Mason Graham is there. You can't pass up on Mason Graham for Ashton Genty. But if he's there at 9 and the Bears go this route, I'll just say I did it for you guys. Some of you guys that really want Ashton Genty, Carl did this for you, but it's possible, and we could still fill all our needs, and it would still be a pretty good team. All right, we still got our core 3 wide receivers, and then Tyler Scott there as well. Jacob DeJesus on punt and kick returns. You still got guys like Colin Johnson you can call up, and we could even sign a low-level guy as well. You got Cole Kmet and Mo Alley Cox as our primary tight ends. We could draft a tight end late if we wanted to, or get an undrafted free agent like this year. We had, Bates. There were a couple really good guys we brought in, so there's always that option as well. We move this over for the defensive line. You got Jacob Martin. I decided to keep over Dominique Robinson. 1-2 there, A or B, one of the two. But then this is the primary here. You got Princely Uman-Mielen, Montez Sweat, Jervon Dexter, and TJ Sanders. To me, that is huge. Then with DeMarcus Walker being more of a fill-in role instead of a starter, solid on the run this year, really solid, getting some pressure too. He's played some key spots decently. Austin Booker to continue to develop, Andrew Billings stepping in, getting some pressure as well, and Riley Mills developing. I like this defensive line now. A lot of high upside potential. A lot of unproven because you got 3 rookies in there, but a lot of high upside, and Austin Booker really would be a type of rookie as well. So a lot of high upside potential with that defensive line, though. It's very exciting when you look at that. That would change an upward trajectory for this team for sure. You got Jackson Woodard is the only change at linebacker and nickelback, and then at safety, the only change there is Lathan Ransom, really just helping to get a developmental guy to come in just in case to see what we got. So that is a decent overall complete mock draft, and you see I have Terrell Smith there over Tyreek Stevenson. Who knows if that'll happen? I like both of them for different reasons. As you saw this last game, Tyreek does play an important role. Did have the pick. Terrell Smith plays a little bit better on the man coverage. Tyreek zone, but hitting decent. So anyways, there's the fun of it. There's your safeties, there's your linebackers, nickelbacks, there's your defensive line, which I think would still be fun. I'd love to see Mason Graham, but TJ Sanders would be my third best option. We could still grab him in the second round. You got your wide receivers, you got your quarterbacks, running back, Ashton Genty, the big name there for those who want him, and then the offensive line is overhauled. So let me know what you guys think of this one. This is not my favorite one, but I actually like the way it turned out. There's so much potential. It's going to come down to Ryan Poles or whoever is the GM to really capitalize on this year's free agency with the money we have, what we can spend. It really comes down to that this year. Whoever really needs to spend well and make good decisions and not just try to go for the bargain bin shopping, not just go for, some of these guys that we can get for $3 million and have as a fill-in. No, we need to hit some big home runs out of the park, and then we need to really capitalize on this draft with this defensive draft. There's a lot of opportunities. So, complete Chicago Bears offseason mock draft version 2. Appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't hit the like button, please do that. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you did that as well. Guys, we're getting there. Hopefully we can get a win somewhere, but if we don't, it's only going to improve our draft spot, our draft potential. It's all potential at the draft. So, lots to look forward to. Shorter week, so only 5 days left until our matchup with the Lions, and then a short week after that, Thursday night football with the Seahawks, and then we're a week and a half away from the final game against the Packers. I hope that's the one game we win is the Packers. All right, till next week. Until next time, the Bears and bear down.